In a wee minute once this goes live. Ooh, exciting. In a wee minute. Oh, there we go. Okay, so that's us live, John. If I could just hand over to you. I think everybody's here who's coming, so it's bang on 1 o'clock. So without any further ado, John, I will just hand over to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anne-Marie. Welcome everybody to this year's annual general meeting 2024 for FAVOR UK. I'm John Royal. I've got the privilege of being the chair of trustees and chairing the AGM today. So just to let you know, this is our formal meeting. It's an open meeting, so welcome to everyone who's live streaming as well as those who are in the Zoom room. We've got some formal processes and business that you always have to get through at these annual general meetings, but also we're going to have the exciting announcement about the host of next year's UK Recovery Walk that we're going to keep you in suspense for until Anne-Marie does her review. And we also are going to present our annual report, which is Anne-Marie taking you through the highlights and briefly our annual accounts as well. We won't dwell on the kind of columns of figures too much, though, just give you the highlights. So I'm certainly looking forward to hearing about, the next year's walk and the host, and obviously a bit of a review of this year's annual recovery walk. Our advocacy casework services has definitely been another highlight. And of course, as always, our campaigning work. So that'll be Anne-Marie who takes us through that. Just the beginning of the formalities, though, we do have the minutes of the previous AGM, which members have had sight of. I'd just ask, only Anne-Marie and Khalees were present at that meeting, members of the board. So I would just ask one of you to propose and the other one to second approval of last year's minutes, please.
I approve that.
Thank you, Khalees. Anne-Marie, thank you for seconding that. So over to you, Anne-Marie, for presentation of the annual report.
Well, thank you so much, John, and thank you everybody for coming today. I know that there's people here from both Wolverhampton and Solihull, so I'll announce the winner of the UK Recovery Walk 2025 first. Again, everyone who's here to hear that is more than welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting, but I want to put those guys out of their misery. It's been a really highly contested battle. There were over 11,000 votes. And I'm delighted to congratulate the team in Wolverhampton on their successful bid to host the UK Recovery Walk 2025. The final vote numbers were 6,013 to Wolverhampton and 4,768 to Solihull. The passion and dedication and effort that were demonstrated in the proposal clearly resonated, not just with the recovery community in Wolverhampton, but also the general public. So congratulations to everybody done there. Of course, commiserations to Nikki and all the team. I want to extend my heartfelt commiserations to you and the team in Solihull. You guys worked so hard. We know that you put in an incredible effort as well, and that there was tremendous thought went into the proposal, and that should not go unrecognised. The 4,768 votes is testament to the respect and admiration that you guys have in Solihull and how the recovery community holds you. So I really hope that your vision for the UK Recovery Walk, which was set against the backdrop of Solihull's beautiful parks and vibrant town centre, and it would have provided an exceptional setting to celebrate recovery, but not this year. And we really hope that you guys will put in another bid next year. But my sincere condolences and commiserations to everybody who worked so hard in Solihull. But next year it will be the UK Recovery Walk will be held in Wolverhampton. So congratulations, guys. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
So yes, as I said, you're more than welcome to stay. This will be getting streamed live anyway. You can watch it at a later date. Also, the recording will be there going forward. So I'll just take you through some of the work that we completed this year. I'm very proud to have Alan and Janet on the call with us today. Alan's our operations manager. Janet's one of our lead volunteers who's recently just completed her training to come on board. So we're delighted to have Janet with us today as well. So yeah, I mean, again, yeah.
Anne-Marie, we've just got Andy on holding on trying to get in. Can you let him in? I don't have access.
Oh, okay. Yeah, of course. Admit all.
There he is. Thank you. Sorry to interrupt you. We're in a good flow there.
No, thank you for interrupting me because there was a couple of people waiting to get in actually. I'm just going to make Khalees the co-host as well. Welcome, Kate. I've just made the announcement. Shona and everyone else that's just joined us, I've just made the announcement that Wolverhampton won the bid this year to host the 2025 UK Recovery Walk. So our commiserations and heartfelt gratitude that were also extended over to the team in Solihull who worked so hard to put their bid together. So yeah, sorry, if you want to see the full announcement, you can go back and watch it on YouTube. But yeah, congratulations to everybody in Wolverhampton. We look forward to working with you next year. And we've asked the guys in Solihull to consider, putting in their bid again, just updating it for next year for 2026. We'd really appreciate that. So hi Andy, welcome. Thanks for joining us today. We're just about to start going through the formalities of the annual report. So great thanks to Paul Finch who helped us create the design of the report this year. Again, we could not do this without the many volunteers who help us, for fun and for free. They put in tremendous amount of hours to make sure. Sorry, someone else has just joined us. Welcome, Tom. Yeah. Welcome, Tom. You're late. We've made the announcement. You guys won.
I know, sorry everyone. Literally, Zoom decided to update as soon as I went to launch the meeting. So, yeah, brilliant. Thank you.
That's all right. Well, I had an email scheduled to go to everybody at 1 p.m. You should have received it bang on 1 o'clock. So, thank you so much. Your bid was awesome. But I'm not. That's the second time I've made the announcement. I'm not going to do it a third time. But yeah, we really look forward to working with you, Tom. We're just going into the nuts and bolts of our work for the last year. So you're welcome to stay and hear about that. And we'd love you to contribute, obviously, throughout the course of the year to the charity's strategy going forward. I'll just take you through some of the edited highlights. Our report, our annual report will be published this afternoon on our website, so you can go and read it in more detail if you're interested in taking it. We've got so much work that we wrote up this year into various different reports from our Women's Healing Retreat, where we took 44 women for almost 3 days on a healing retreat to the Scottish borders. There's a small report about that. We collated the 3 years worth of our advocacy caseworker service, and we reported on that very granularly, which highlights the systemic and structural barriers within Scotland's treatment system. It also highlighted, the great work of our staff and our volunteers who make that work and, actually save lives. From the 123 clients that we've worked with, we were able to get over a fifth of them into residential rehab placements, which are, essentially like hen's teeth, not just in Scotland, across the UK. So we're very proud of that work. And more importantly, actually, everyone who came to us, of those 123 people, no one died, which again, statistically in Scotland is quite a major achievement and testament to the staff and volunteers who helped us create that service and who are now helping us develop it into something that's, far more robust and sustainable going forward. And Alan's spending quite a bit of time training our volunteers to become advocacy caseworkers themselves. And, over the years, we've been doing our best to fill in applications for funding for that service. No luck going forward yet, but we are great perseverers and we will continue to do that. And another reason why we wanted to highlight with a sort of granular level of detail the work that the advocacy case service does, because that all goes towards providing the evidence that we need to take that service forward. The fact that no one has died in the 3 years that we've been doing that service, and most of the people who come to us, unfortunately, are absolutely at death's door. They are the most desperate of the desperate. And we've managed to either hook them into a residential rehab service or to help them with some aspect of their treatment that they wanted changed. And that has been a very, very difficult job for our staff and our volunteers to make that happen. The staff themselves, there's a section in the report where we talk about the toll that it can take on the staff, that it can take on the volunteers, the emotional labour that goes into that work. And how there are no quick wins in this work. And also, not just from an individual point of view, from a structural point of view, we often start the process of creating a pathway in a local authority. And initially, when we started the work, I'm sure Alan will agree, we hoped that those pathways would then be, they would actually create a path within the local authority. But what we've found is with each client, we have to start that path again. That the doors that we opened shut behind us, and each individual client is absolutely a struggle to get them what they want and what they need. But we're very proud to say that we do that in a very person-centered way. We every time we take on a new client or a new family, we are doing our best to provide them with what they're asking us to do. That is incredibly difficult. And from the outset, I often hear Alan saying to people when they first call us, I'll do my best to help, but I can't make any promises, because so often those systemic barriers do get the better of even the most tenacious of us. But we're very proud to say that we have helped over 123 people and over 40 families in the last 3 years. So please, when you get an opportunity, have a look at that report. I'm sure it will resonate right across the UK. I'm sure the level of detail will be comforting, but also disturbing. But we felt it was, as we do often, very much part of our conscience to record those granular details, to highlight, the difficulties and the barriers that people face, often insurmountable, without help. and even with help, still incredibly difficult. I know Alan won't mind me saying that he came into this sector, from, having had extensive experience in other sectors, working with refugees, working with volunteer programs, working with adults and families of other vulnerable groups. And I know that Alan has been shocked at the level of systemic barriers that he's found in our sector, unfortunately. So yeah, please have a look at the advocacy caseworker report. We spent a lot of time working on it, and we absolutely know it's there for the record. If these systemic barriers don't change, if we can't shift the dial at all, at least we have a record of our organisation, and I'm sure many other organisations trying to change that, and it's there, as I said, in a granular level of detail. So yeah, as I said, the women's retreat was a fantastic celebratory weekend where we were able to host 44 women, right? Again, it was a Scottish project. We got some funding from the Volunt Trust, and it was specifically for women. We've had great calls to create it again for men. And we would love to do that, but we do need to access some funding to do that. And I will endeavour to do that this year. I'll endeavour to get some funding for a men's retreat as well. The retreat, again, we've done a little report on it, again, highlighted by our volunteer, Paul Finch. And actually who was brought in by Evelyn, who does all our social media. And my thanks go to Evelyn. I can't thank Evelyn enough for taking that pressure off me, and protecting me from some of the worst sort of responses that we get there. Some of the horrible stigmatic responses that we get there. Very grateful to Evelyn for that. So yeah, the women's retreat, we were able to offer women, extensive care over the weekends. Lots of luxury things that might sound a bit indulgent, but lots of the women who came never get the opportunity to indulge in that way. So we had women from the lived experience recovery, 5 different lived experience recovery organisations in Scotland. We brought them all together, both staff, participants and volunteers from the 5 different lived experience recovery organisations, with the intention to foster unity amongst the lived experience recovery organisations, and but also to give the women a wee touch of luxury and rest over the weekend. So we had some fantastic workshops on various topics, ranging from self-care and self-love to anger management. There was craft workshops. There was glorious food the whole weekend that was prepared for us in partnership by Homeless Project Scotland. They donated the food for us, which was amazing. The women had hot tubs and cold dips, and we had all sorts of makeup and hair treats, real luxurious things for the women to take part in. We also had some conscious raising awareness sessions around various educational opportunities for people to take part in, and the feedback from that, as you'll see from the small report that we did, was tremendous. Women had, one of the things that always shocks me about when we bring women together, and I think this is the 3rd time we've done it, the 3rd year we've done it, is they feel like they've never really been cared for in that way before. And I know that sounds maybe a bit of exaggeration, but what always strikes me about that is women are constantly checking in with each other to check that they're having a good time and that they're okay, and that they're, that do they need anything? And I think as women, we do that anyway, as a matter of course, and as a nature. So when you bring 44 women together and they're all doing that for each other, it creates, a very strong atmosphere of love and safety and care And we, you know, everybody left that weekend, absolutely everybody left that weekend on a high this year. And we're getting better every year at organising opportunities for, you know, people to take part. So yeah, we're doing our best to absolutely provide a safe haven and a path to empowerment for people. I'll hand back over briefly to John just to do a wee bit about our financial stewardship and our strategic growth. Then I'll come back to the annual report if that's okay. John, I'll just take a wee breather.
Yeah, thanks very much, Anne-Marie. Any chance we can have a men's spiritual retreat next year? These guys look like they need a bit of tender loving care to me as well as the women. I'm sure if you could get the funding, you would, wouldn't you, Anne-Marie?
Absolutely.
That was great to hear some of those highlights. So yeah, this is the really exciting bit where I present the financial statements for approval. And just to say, we are short of a treasurer. So if there are any accountants out there in our community, or maybe a few Wall Street investment bankers, we only need one of you. We could really do with a financial expert joining our board of trustees. So you know, please either volunteer, or if we find you, we'll drag you onto the board anyway. So you might as well volunteer. So in terms of the finances, as you know, we're a small charity. We don't have budgets of £300 million a year like certain treatment providers do, but we also have a national remit. So it's about making a small amount of money go a very, very long way, which I think is what we're very good at. And it certainly wouldn't be possible without all our fantastic volunteers. So a big shout out to all of them, of course. So last year, our gross income, it did increase to £172,604. So that was an increase from the year before, which was 140,000. So that, you know, proportionately, that was good growth for the charity, a good year. That 172k was made up of 69,000, which is restricted grants. So that's specifically towards our advocacy project, and this money is restricted. So our funders, it means the money has to be wholly spent on those activities. The remainder of the funding came mainly from sponsorship, £96,340 for our fantastic sponsors. We couldn't do our work without them, of course. And just a small amount of investment income of £365. That's like bank interest, really. So that's where the money came from. And our expenditure was £153,946. So, you know, that goes on things like the walk and back office expenditure, travel, that kind of thing. Our main expenditure, as with most organisations and charities in particular, is salaries and wages. And that expenditure was £96,369 with an average of 3 full-time equivalent staff. So as you can guess, you know, we don't pay, you know, we've got amazing people, but they're not, you know, they're not doing this for money. They're not getting like vast salaries, any of our staff. So thank you so much for all of our staff and the great work you do. So just to summarise, yeah, we're not a rich charity. We always, you know, we never have enough money, but from a financial and from, you know, from our balance sheet, we're in good financial health, no concerns there. Yeah, so I just want one of our voting members at the moment, that's just Justine Cleese, Marie. Can somebody please propose the accounts and somebody second approval of the accounts? Proposer. Thank you, Anne-Marie.
Yeah.
Seconder.
Yeah, I'll second.
Thank you, Justine. And Are you going to continue with your report, Anne-Marie? Have you got your breath back?
I am indeed. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, John. And yeah, every penny's a prisoner, as everybody knows. I'm in charge of the, the spend, and every penny is, highly accounted for. And like you said, we put a lot of what we raise, at least half of what we raise goes into the actual events that we do. So nobody's getting rich here, but it brings me to talk about the main sort of core of our work is, of course, being built around the UK Recovery Walk. So every year we host as we just did, we have a host bid, a bidding exercise where different regions can bid for the walk. As we've heard, this year it was Wolverhampton that's won, but last year the walk was held in London, in Crystal Palace Park. To all extensive purposes, it was a huge, very much a welcomed event by the general public, a huge success as far as bringing collaborations together and partnerships between the 5 big charities in particular, but also across all the London boroughs. We got huge buy-in from the majority of the commissioners in the London area who supported not just the walk, but also the conference the day before. We had a beautiful sunny day to celebrate. We had people coming from all over the UK. The actual venue itself and all the events that we put on during that day, and all the organisations that came to take part, and the partnerships that we built, we certainly will be taking forward and all the learning, because each year we learn more about what to do and what not to do, what works, what doesn't work, etc. So we learned a hell of a lot this year, again, and we'll take that learning forward. But overall, it was a fantastic day. People had the chance to contribute. The acts on the stage were all people in recovery. They got to play to a huge audience. And yeah, there was a great uptake on social media of making recovery visible, which of course is what the walk has always been about. So yeah, we do have a plan this year to take forward a slightly different strategy, and that we are going to try and get corporate sponsorship. We will be going out to the addiction sector and the industry in general, but we will also be putting more focus on trying to attract corporate sponsorship for that event, because we do feel like in order to make it fully visible and the public more aware, that we need to bring in those corporate partners and get buy-in from the community, not just the sector. So I will be endeavouring, certainly over the first 2 months of the year, to make a concerted effort to cold call as many businesses as possible. So if you have any, ideas or connections or suggestions, please do get in touch, and I will take those forward and follow those up. The conference this year again was held in London in a historical venue called Hines Street Methodist Church, which was particularly important to some of us in recovery, given that it was the venue where the very first anonymous fellowship meetings were held in the UK. So it felt very much like a coming home, not just for, people in that particular pathway to recovery, but also for me. It was the region where I first found my own personal recovery, and I had attended many mutual aid meetings in that particular building in the early years of my recovery. So it felt very much not just nostalgic, but there was a certain amount of completing the circle for me this year personally. The walk at the conference we had 3 professors and a dame speaking, which was another highlight. We had and all of those presentations, which were extremely in depth and very, very interesting. The theme of the conference, as described, as is decided every year by the host community, the steering committee. This year it was stigma, respect and disrespect. So we had speakers from a variety of different areas speaking about that, and how stigma affects people, how, you know, the recovery community can contribute to that at times, but also how standing up for ourselves within that community can be quite difficult to navigate. We also heard from a variety of different lived experience speakers, people who were in long-term recovery, who followed different paths. And of course, those speakers are always the highlight of the day, because it genuinely is our stories that have the real power to convince, not just the commissioners and, you know, the people in the room who might be skeptical of what we're trying to do, but our stories really do convince people, you know, as soon as we start to tell them about the organisations that helped us or the pathways that we found, and, you know, the ongoing sustainability and sometimes struggles of our journeys, that, you know, people really get the opportunity to realise why addiction services are so vital in our country, and why we should always invest in them. So yeah, those lived experience speakers were tremendous. And of course, we had the wonderful Dame Carol Black. And all of these presentations can be found, you know, through they're on our YouTube channel. They're also on our website. So yeah, please, if you are interested, have a listen to some of those presentations, because they are fantastic. And we know throughout the course of the year that those presentations will be watched sometimes as many as 10,000 times. Some of our previous conferences have been downloaded and watched. The views, you know, you can see from our YouTube channel that there is a lot of interest in hearing people's stories and hearing the academic evidence that we try and put forward every year for recovery in a variety of different ways. So yeah, our thanks go particularly to the Recovery Coach Academy this year as well, who helped us do our training. Again, they do that for free for us. They were able to train 132 people with our Stories Have Power training, and 508 people were trained on the Recovery Allies training. Again, for a small charity, we only 3 staff. We have literally hundreds of volunteers who make all of this work happen. We could not do it without them. And again, a special thanks to everyone at Recovery Coach Academy who helps us to do that. I suppose finally, the other piece of business that we have to conclude is the standing down and reappointment of trustees. John, if I could just catch my breath again and just do a double check that I haven't forgot anything, I'll hand it over to you to do that.
Yeah, thanks very much, Jean-Marie. Yeah, and I'll just move quickly through final formal items of business before we open it up for you guys. Anybody who wants to ask us any questions or give us any feedback, that's always an interesting session just to round off at the end. So in terms of election and reappointment of trustees, firstly, I just want to acknowledge the contribution of my fellow trustees this year. Only Khalees and Justine in the room today are trustees at Favour UK, apart from myself, but we've had a number of members who served us with distinction during the year but have moved on for various reasons. Yeah, I just want to say, trustees, they don't get paid anything. They are volunteers. It's not the most glamorous end of the volunteering continuum, sitting in committees, analysing data, passing resolutions, but absolutely vital work to the functioning of a charity. The trustees are effectively the bosses of the charity. They have legal responsibility for the work that the staff and executive undertake. And yeah, it's a volunteer thing, but absolutely essential. We couldn't function without our trustees. So thank you, fellow trustees, for your amazing work. And just also to say, anyone who's interested in becoming a trustee of Favour UK, please do get in touch with us. We're always looking for more good people to join the board. So in terms of nominees for new trustee appointments, we've only got one person today. I'm delighted that Andy there, who's in the middle of my screen, has been proposed as a trustee of Favour UK. Andy's many of you will know Andy, massively respected and well-known colleague in the recovery world. So can I please, we've had the nomination already, so it is merely down to a vote from fellow trustees. So voting members Anne-Marie, Justine and Khalees, please will you give me a hands up or a thumb up? Or thank you very much. Andy, you were duly appointed as a trustee of Favour UK unanimously by the board.
John, we need to ask if there are any objections legally. We need to ask.
Oh, from people who are not trustees, right? Okay. Any objections to Andy, or forever hold your peace?
Yeah. Yay.
Thank you. No objections. Welcome to the board, Andy.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Really looking forward to it.
Congratulations. So no former. Let's have a look. Oh yeah. So, and just on to declarations of conflicts of interest. Anyone need to declare a conflict of interest? I'm not hearing any conflicts of interest, so I will move on to member resolutions and amendments to the governing document. There are no resolutions or proposed amendments submitted by members, but just to let you all know, we will be looking to review our constitution in 2025. And unless you've got any more comments, Anne-Marie, we're open to the forum, no?
Yeah, well, just one more, a couple of comments just on the right to recovery bill, which is currently, our bill, which we brought to the Scottish Parliament. It's out for consultation until December the 20th. If you haven't already, that's a phenomenal piece of work that we have brought to the Scottish Parliament. It's a landmark piece of legislation. It enshrines, if passed, it would enshrine in law the right to addiction treatment, which we currently don't have. So if you haven't already took part in that consultation, please do. It's open till the 20th. You have one more week to put your tuppence worth in. But also, John, it would be remiss of me to, not to thank you. You've served the charity now for almost 12 years, and I know that it is your intention to stand down. But you're going to wait until we have a few more board members. But I just want to publicly, for the record again, thank you for your guidance, your wisdom, your steadfastness, your commitment and your loyalty to both the charity and to me over the years. I will deeply, deeply miss you. Yeah, just to publicly say thank you.
Thank you very much, Anne-Marie. That's very touching. That's Anne-Marie politely pensioning me off without a pension, but much appreciated, and it's been an absolute honour to serve the charity and support you. Thank you. Okay, so I think we are now on to questions and open forums. So anybody's opportunity now to ask any questions or give us any feedback or discuss any of the items or issues that's been raised today.
Alan, do you want to put your tuppence worth in?
I don't really. Hi everybody. I don't really know what to say. Just that I think this year has been a good year for us in terms of what we're doing advocacy wise. So I think we're hopefully in 2025 get a bit more funding. That seems to be the priority at the moment, and we can grow because I think over the past 3 years we've demonstrated that the type of advocacy that we engage with can be successful, and there is a gap, a glaring gap, really, in the sector for a service such as ours. So at the moment, I'm working on an application for more funding from a funder. I won't say who at the moment because it's not done yet, but Anne-Marie and I are looking at that at the moment. Janet here is one of 2 volunteers that we've managed to get through training to become a proper volunteer advocates, and I'm happy to say that today Janet has received her first client, so she's going to be all guns blazing with that. So that's something else that we're developing. We're trying to develop the service just so as we can meet the need, and I think the needs there, and we'll grow to try and satisfy the desire that people are craving to get the type of recovery that they want. I think that's pretty much all I've really got to say. I don't really know.
That's great. Thank you, Ellen. I just wanted to give you the opportunity to contribute. Thank you. Sorry about putting you on the spot.
No, you're all right. You're okay.
Okay. So I'll pause for 30 seconds, and if there's no questions coming either through the chat or in the room, we will formally close, but I will be quiet just to see if it brings anything up.
Yeah, and
That's all right.
also, if anybody has any questions, they're more than welcome to, you know, send us a wee email or a wee text or a wee message, and we'll get back to them, you know.
Okie doke. So I'm just going to end thanking everybody. I hope I don't miss out anyone, but obviously our amazing staff, volunteers, trustees, all our sponsors who we couldn't do this work without, and all of you guys out there who are members, listening, just being part of our community. That's what gives us the strength and unity, isn't it? That togetherness, how we move forward. And finally, just you guys over at Wolverhampton, massive congratulations, commiserations to Solihull, but who knows next year, please go for it, you know. And I'm sure Wolverhampton will do us proud. I look forward to seeing you at the walk, and have a fantastic Christmas, everybody. Great New Year, and keep safe.
Cheers, John. Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Anne-Marie. Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.